Monday on Judge John Deed.
If you continue, I'll have you removed.
You're being childish. He'll stop at nothing to see justice is done.
Word is you're heading for a fall.
Can't let you do this, John.
How are you going to stop me?
Judge John Deed.
I never took advantage of my position.
You were being boneheaded.
I was being fair.
Monday at 8:30 on BBC One.
Tuesday in Linda Green.
SexyHunkyManx.com.
When surfing the net,
He works in our butchers.
gets you more than you bargained for.
I've been burgled. It's safe to talk here.
Linda Green, Tuesday at 9 on BBC One. That's our Linda.
The news now on BBC One with Peter Sissons. It's 10 o'clock.
Blair piles on the promises on health. Britain will match Europe's average. It could mean spending billions more and big tax rises. Where the Taliban fought to the death and killed their first American. Death at Selby by dangerous driving, the prosecution case. The Windsors hold court. Queen Victoria looks on.
And in the Midlands tonight, 3 died in a minibus crash because of a badly repaired tyre, says a coroner. And a final warning to 2 young tearaways to stop terrorising the neighbourhood.
Good evening. Not 24 hours after Gordon Brown's costly prescription for the health service, Tony Blair appeared to commit the government to spending billions more. In the Commons, he restated a previous pledge to bring spending on healthcare in Britain up to the European average within 4 years. Independent experts predicted that it could be done, but only with substantial tax rises. The Tories said Mr. Blair had just written Labour's first blank cheque for the health service. Here's our political editor, Andrew Marr.
Yesterday, Labour launched its great new crusade to really sort out the National Health Service. Today, already, the price is beginning to emerge, and it must involve a hefty tax rise for millions of British people. Gordon Brown has changed the mood of politics with the frankness of his admission that a better European-style health service needs all of us to shell out more of our money, probably in taxes. There's been a lot of speculation about whether Tony Blair really backs his Chancellor's broad hint that higher taxes are coming under new Labour. Well, he does, and more. The first real evidence came today when the Prime Minister faced this question from the leader of the Liberal Democrats, Charles Kennedy.
When the Prime Minister committed himself to raising health expenditure in our country to the European Union average by the year 2005, is that still the policy of his government?
Of course it is, and with the greatest of respect, of course it is.
That matters because it begins to put a figure on what Labour's new crusade might cost. The Tory leader reckoned this was panic.
He's condemned patients to wait longer, suffer more, and to die earlier than our neighbours in Europe. And the Prime Minister hasn't a clue, and he hasn't a cure for this health service.
The Prime Minister replied in a way that would have been unthinkable even a few weeks ago. Taxis good, private healthcare bad.
Do we get those extra resources, either payments out of general taxation or specific payments through social insurance like France and Germany, which are also a form of taxation, or by making people pay directly for their health care? Now, we believe in the first. What on earth does he believe in?
So to get to the European average, what might that mean in tax terms? Health spending now is about £59 billion. Add up new money already promised and you get to £69 billion. But, says one respected group of analysts, that still means another £10 billion is needed by 2005, the equivalent of a 3p increase on income tax. Downing Street says it would be lower. Other think tanks with a high reputation say it would be a lot higher.
Now, just to put that in some perspective, that's going to mean, potentially, if all that money was to be found through tax rises, an increase of about just over 13p in income tax.
The truth is, none of these figures are really safe. There's too many uncertainties about economies and borrowing and health service performance. Ifs and buts and brackets and question marks. But if what the Prime Minister said today means anything, it means this: your taxes are going up, full stop. Andrew Marr, BBC News, Downing Street.
And our social affairs editor Neil Dixon joins me now from outside St Thomas's Hospital in central London. Massive amounts pledged yesterday by Gordon Brown, more today from Tony Blair. Neil, is it all guaranteed to put things right with the health service?
No, Peter, there are very few things that are certain in life, and a world-beating health service certainly isn't one of them. The challenge is frankly enormous. It's not just a question of money. They don't have enough staff to deliver the care, and training staff takes time. It takes 3 or 4 years for a nurse, 6 or 7 years for a doctor, so that's why they're trying to import some from other countries. Just rebuilding an accident and emergency department like the one behind me takes years to do, so don't expect, I don't think anybody should expect, even with these billions of pounds, which are pretty meaningless figures to most of us, the health service to be transformed overnight. It always needs extra money. Previous governments have tried putting in extra money. This government has put in extra money. It's still not satisfied. They're hoping that by another gear change, even more money, and combining that with changing the way that the health service does things, that they will actually deliver something different, but not guaranteed.
Then how big a hostage to fortune, then, is Blair's promise today to bring us to the European average in 4 years?
Well, I think in a way that's less of a hostage than turning the health service around. If you use the government's figures, then, you know, if the economy is all right over the next few years, I think they probably will hit that. They may have to put up taxes in order to do it, but they'll do that. Putting in the money is not really the problem, providing the economy is delivering and people are prepared to pay a bit more in tax. It'll be more difficult to turn it around. Neil Dixon, thank you.
The basic state pension is to rise by £3 a week next April and by £4.80 for married couples. Most national insurance benefits will rise in line with the retail price index at 1.7%, and most income-related benefits are going up by the same amount. The government's also announced a £40 million scheme to provide jobs for thousands of the long-term unemployed. People seeking work in 6 pilot areas are to be guaranteed a job for a year at the minimum wage. A bloody uprising of Taliban prisoners in a fort near Mazar-e-Sharif has claimed America's first death in combat. CIA officer Johnny Michael Spann was inside the fortress when Taliban prisoners rebelled. On Sunday, 300 to 500 foreign Taliban fighters who'd surrendered at Kunduz were taken to General Dostum's fort on the outskirts of Mazar-e-Sharif. That afternoon, prisoners seized weapons held in a nearby ammunition dump and fought their Northern Alliance captors. US jets, guided by American and British special forces, targeted Taliban prisoners. The fighting ended on Tuesday afternoon. At least 300 Taliban prisoners, 150 Northern Alliance soldiers and 1 CIA officer had been killed. From inside Kalari Jangi Fort, the television centre.
Billed as a showdown between the stars, it was, in the event, perfectly friendly. Wendy Richard, alias Pauline Fowler, was first to greet the Queen, while Barbara Windsor settled for showing her namesake around. Albert Square had never seen anything like it. Neither, it might be presumed, had the Queen. Her own family drama has often been compared to a soap opera, but today she was in one for real, at the Queen Vic. She soon discovered that a film set pub is merely a shell.
Oh, my word, that's certainly unblocked the little soldier.
Yeah. The true work goes on in a studio nearby. The Queen watched with dogged fascination, though she's unlikely to have followed the intricacies of the plot.
They're not regular viewers. They said it was on at a difficult time, which, seeing it's on 4 times a week and Sunday afternoons, it seems a little hard to believe.
To everyone's surprise, the Queen then came as close as she ever will to being a barmaid, though she stopped short of pulling a pint.
I said to her, would she like to come behind the bar and see where I work? And she said, yes. Needs a bit of a tidy up, actually. I'll kill that potman when I see him.
The Duke, meanwhile, was having a spot of bother recognising Adam Woodyard, who's played Ian Beale since EastEnders began.
But you're an actor or an operator?
Yeah, yes, technically I'm an actor, but today I've been asked to give you a little demonstration.
All in all, it was a surreal morning here in Albert Square as royalty came to visit. The great unanswered question remains whether or not the Queen will now be a dedicated follower of the goings-on in Walford. More familiar territory, perhaps, was Television Centre, where BBC staff were briefly overcome with curiosity. At a Blue Peter rehearsal, the Queen was awarded the programme's gold badge, giving her free entry to various attractions, including the Tower of London.
Lovely.
That's splendid. Great. This day devoted to broadcasting also took her to the newsroom of the American cable network CNN and to ITN. It all ended with a reception at Buckingham Palace for some of the main players in the world of TV and radio. And the Queen raised quite a laugh when she told Cilla Black she was pleased to see she had more clothes on after her recent scantily clad performance in the Royal Variety Show. Jenny Bond, BBC News.
It's 10:25. I'll be back a little later with an update on the day's headlines, but now we join our news teams across the United Kingdom.
Hello, good evening, I'm Ashley Blake. An inquest has heard how a punctured tyre which had been repaired suddenly deflated, causing a minibus crash which killed 3 Nuneaton Borough soccer fans. The coroner in Oxford said he could not regard it as an accident and recorded open verdicts. Colin Pemberton reports.
14 football fans were inside this minibus when it plunged off the M40 motorway. They were on their way back from an FA Cup tie in Bournemouth. Sean Folan was one of those who died. His friend Martin Lashley died with him. Another colleague, Cal Long, died in hospital the next day. He had been pulled free by the driver, Gareth Archer, who had hired the minibus in Nuneaton. The driver, Mr. Archer, recalled how he heard a bang for a split second from the back of the vehicle and said, "I think we've got a puncture." He told the coroner how he struggled to control the vehicle as it swayed from side to side, but then it suddenly veered to the left and crashed off the motorway down an embankment. Tyre expert Raymond Jenkins said it was the rear offside tyre which had suddenly deflated. Mr. Jenkins said the tyre had previously been repaired after a nail or a screw had punctured it, and it was losing air slowly. It was likely to have been running on low pressure during this journey, and the scene was set for a sudden deflation. The police believe that a previous hirer of the vehicle may have repaired the puncture rather than bear the cost of a new tyre. The coroner said if the police could find who repaired the puncture, the Crown Prosecution Service would consider manslaughter charges, but it had proved impossible.
2 boys of 11 and 12 who've been terrorising their neighbourhood have been told they could face a custodial sentence if their behaviour doesn't improve. The children were abusive and threatening and frightened so many people in their hometown that it led to a 9-month police investigation. Helen Callaghan reports.
They were nicknamed the Telford Tearaways, and for more than a year they terrorised their hometown of Wellington in Shropshire. 12-year-old Jamie Thomas and Martin Emery, who's just 11, wreaked havoc in their local shops, threatened strangers and bullied their classmates. This is where the boys used to hang around. They'd intimidate shoppers and shopkeepers with foul and abusive language, and on one occasion they even fired at passers-by using ball bearings. But the communities fought back. Officers spent 9 months collecting evidence so that antisocial behaviour orders could be issued.
What we're concerned about is the quality of life for people that live around here. This is one step towards improving that quality of life and changing behaviour which isn't acceptable. Yes, it is a useful tool in our armoury.
For the next 3 years, the boys are banned from owning pellet guns like these. They can't associate with each other, leave their homes unaccompanied at night, and they mustn't swear or insult people. The boys' bad behaviour isn't in itself criminal, but now if they break these conditions, they will face a custodial sentence. People in Wellington hope it won't come to that, but they're looking forward to Christmas shopping free from intimidation.
The police complaints authorities to investigate the death of a man who collapsed while police were at his house. The man, who's in his 70s, died yesterday at his home in Leek in Staffordshire. He'd been detained under the mental health laws. He collapsed after social workers, doctors and police arrived at the house. Police believe a remand prisoner who abducted a taxi driver to escape court may be in the Midlands. 19-year-old Mervyn Plummer made off from Bicester Magistrates Court yesterday after overpowering guards. He abandoned the cab at a service station on the M6 north of Birmingham. The public are advised not to approach him. A plane spotter being held on spying charges in Greece has told the BBC that the authorities have no firm evidence against him. A Greek court has ruled that Wayne Groves and 11 other Britons will stay in prison until they see a higher court. James MacDonald reports.
After more than 2 weeks in a Greek jail, the patience of the plane spotters is beginning to run out. They were on an organised trip when they were arrested outside an airbase and charged with spying. But speaking from police custody today, one of the group, Wayne Groves from Tamworth, said the Greek Air Force had actually invited them along.
We had permission from the Air Force to visit. We have a fax telling us we could visit, we were allowed. It was confirmed the week before we arrived we'd still be allowed to come. And the security people examined all the films, the intelligence people, and they've confirmed there were no pictures taken. So they're happy with it.
Plane spotting isn't a hobby normally associated with espionage, but as enthusiasts go further afield, they're more likely to be at risk of arrest.
It's sort of become more popular, and a lot of people will go out, particularly abroad, because they can get aircraft from other countries with exotic colours that they want to photograph.
This evening, after weeks of waiting, there are signs the plane spotters detained in Greece might soon be on a flight home.
What we understand at the moment is there's going to be some sort of secret review of the papers sometime next week. But there's no way this can continue hole in the corner.
So, despite some hopes, the group remains in Greece this evening, their 19th night spent in detention.
And there are 2 football results to bring you tonight. Aston Villa lost 1-0 to Sheffield Wednesday. Coventry moves 2 places to 7th after beating Crystal Palace 2-0. Just before we go, a quick word of thanks to everyone who rang in offering to help Doreen Payne, who was featured last night on Midlands Today. Now, for 3 years, she's been unable to leave her home in Dudley because her local council won't pay for a wheelchair ramp. Well, a Wolverhampton firm is building her a ramp next week. Doreen says she's over the moon, and she's asked everyone here to thank everyone who rang in. That's the news. Kay Alexander will be back at 6:30 in the morning. Now it's back to Peter Sissons. Bye for now.
And the main news tonight, Tony Blair has promised to match the European Union average on health spending within 4 years. The pledge will cost billions and is likely to mean big tax rises. The CIA has confirmed that one of its men was killed in the Taliban revolt at Mazar-e-Sharif. And Gary Hart has gone on trial accused of causing death by dangerous driving following the Selby train crash. Newsnight is starting now over on BBC 2, but from the 10 o'clock news, good night.
Good evening. It's going to be very wet at times over the next few days. Cloud has been streaming in off the Atlantic through today. There are more weather fronts out towards the west, which will bring yet more wet weather through tonight and tomorrow. And you can see where today's rain has been on the radar sequence, particularly across more western areas. You can see how that rain's been gathering in the last few hours down towards the southwest. Now, this wet weather is going to travel towards the east through the rest of tonight. This is how things will look by the end of the night. Believe me, the United Kingdom is underneath here somewhere. It looks like it will be wet pretty much everywhere by dawn. It's also going to be windy in places, particularly around the coasts of Wales and indeed down towards the south coast too. There could be gusts of wind here up to around 50 miles an hour. So the Met Office has issued some advice for you across England and Wales through tonight and tomorrow, that windy and wet weather. It looks like it could be particularly wet over the western hills, and here there could be some localised flooding. But with all the cloud and the rain, it's generally not going to be a cold night, although temperatures could dip a few degrees up towards the northwest later on. So for many, tomorrow morning is going to be wet and windy, very unpleasant conditions for driving in the rush hour. There'll also be some fog over the hilltops. Now, slowly things should start to dry out from the northwest as the day goes on. The rain across England and Wales will become lighter and more patchy, although it will stay pretty cloudy here. And as things start to dry out from the north, the wind will ease and swing round to a more northerly direction, so the temperature will fall. During the afternoon, around 6 to 8 will be the temperature for northern areas, a milder 13 or 14 towards the south. And the wind could be a real feature of our weather over the next few days. There's a potential for some strong winds to develop and push across northern Britain during Saturday. And that's all down to this area of low pressure, which could well develop as it tracks towards the north through Friday night and Saturday. Now, there's a little bit of uncertainty as to the exact track of this low, but at the moment we are watching for the potential that there could be some severe gales across northern Britain on Friday night and Saturday, particularly in the northern and the western Isles of Scotland. We'll certainly keep you posted on that. So on Friday, it'll be another mild day, another breezy day, a band of cloud and rain drifting in from the west, some rain clearing away from northeastern areas. On Saturday, that's when it could be particularly windy. Elsewhere, there'll be sunny spells and some blustery showers. By Sunday, it could be a little bit drier and brighter in eastern areas. There'll still be some showers out towards the west, and it'll be a little bit colder. And that's the way the weather's looking.
Remembering the UK victims of September the 11th. A special service from Westminster Abbey tomorrow morning on BBC One at 11:45.
The thing about paying your TV licence by direct debit is that it's a great way of spreading the cost.
Right, so how did
Do you know how little it can cost a month?
Yes, I do.
Have a guess.
But I know.
No, but have a guess, though.
No, but I know the answer. It's just over £9 a month.
No, but have a guess.
Well, all right, £15.
£15? That's rubbish.
Okay, 12. No, 300.
To find out how little it can cost to pay your television licence by direct debit, call 0800 328 2020. And to give you a start, the answer's just over £9 a month.
Now on BBC One, tonight's lottery results. In the National Lottery draw, the winning numbers are confirmed as 8, 22, 31, 32, 42 and 45. And the bonus number is 20. Early indications show that there is one lucky jackpot winner, winning just over £3.7 million. The winning numbers in the lottery extra draw are 2, 4, 8, 25, 35 and 45. There are no winners tonight, which means the jackpot for the next draw has grown to an estimated £2.8 million.